The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, New Productions and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Ask for Candy, the official podcast for fabulous single city women. Who I am Candace Harper, lovecoach.com, honey, coming to you live from the V Club. I teach and inspire, right? Yay! You can yay, Candy. The ladies want to cheer. Woo! I teach and inspire audacious intimacy to powerful, professional, grown women who want real relationships from seductive singlehoods. And more importantly, I help single city women over 35 who have given up on love discover their passions and purpose and stop getting ghosted, right? Woo! And we're coming to you live from the V Club. It's one of my favorite places to be. It's a gorgeous venue in the heart of Chelsea where women take classes, workshops, and attend events around sex and relationships. So if you want to find out more, just go to thevclub.com. Now, if you're out there in the listening world, you're listening probably with your TuneIn app on armedradioglobal.com. We're also on iHeartRadio, so if you have an Alexa, you can ask for Candy. And I see on the Facebook Live already Angela and Lee and Ez are here. What's up, people? Welcome. You can talk to us, too. You can talk to us during the course of the show. Or maybe if you are joining us on live, actually, I want you to join either one of our groups, either the Creative Love Collective or Armed Radio Group News, so that you can always keep up with what we're doing. You can always know we're coming on. You can always see that we're live and be like our regulars and our unofficial co-host, Lee, who always shows. Lee, I love you for being here. And our call-in number, if you're out in the listening world, anywhere, we're global, 1-800-508-5431. If you want to join the conversation, ask us any questions or anything like that. And you can email us. There's so many ways in this digital age, right? to keep in touch with everybody. So you can email us. We won't necessarily get your email while we're on the air, but you can email askforcandypodcast@gmail.com, and I will answer those questions in a later broadcast. So like I said, I'm Candace Harper, Love Coach, and my talent is conversation. My passion is personal growth, and my purpose is to teach and inspire radical self-acceptance in myself and others so that we can all have our best possible love life. And what this show is about, each week we have lively conversations about different topics related to love and relationships. Sometimes we'll bring on special guests or games and activities. Always we'll get a chance to laugh, cry, or just learn something new. And I hear all kinds of feedback in the sound room. Jimmy, you guys are making so much noise back there. Sometimes my Jimmy, he gets the sound really good, and then he's like in the background, he wants to be on the show. And actually, Jimmy and Joe, who runs the production company, said he wants to join the V Club. Him and his partner. This is another podcast. Joe Sabino, right? Joe Sabino, I don't know if you're out there, but Courtney, Jamie, do you agree that Joe can join they say you can join the V Club.
And Joe.
Right? I feel like they're already in their own kind of V Club, which is a whole nother show that we'd have to talk about. Anyway, sometimes we bring on special guests, games, and activities. Always we get a chance to laugh, cry, or just learn something new. And that is why this is a conversation. We're not here to hand down a bunch of dating and relationship rules or rights and wrongs. We're not here to shame your love situation. We're all about the release of shame. It's not about shame. Our only intention is to create audacious intimacy, seductive singlehoods, and healthy relationships. And also tonight is the Halloween special. I don't know, we caused an ambiance, I think, going on a little bit. We darkened it up a little. We got our candles going. We're really trying to, and look, a little trick or treat bag. So ladies, if during the course of the show you want to have a little candy, you want to ask for candy, here it is. See, I got you. I got everybody taken care of. So tonight's show is about horrific online dating stories, right? Like, it's going to be good. So you guys that are on Facebook Live, I really want you to join in because you are invited to tell any of your stories. I know that some of you date online a lot, and I'm not going to blow up your spot unless you want to blow up your own. But, you know, I want you guys to join in. You can tell your stories. I have a whole bunch of stories that I got from offline, from a website called ranker.com, where they give listicles and you can actually vote for which one you think is the most horrific. So I have these 15 horrific online dating stories written by Casey Kavanaugh for Ranker.com, and we're just gonna like go through and like chat them through and talk about it. You ladies game for that? And if you feel like you want to share, if you have like a horrific dating story, you want to get it off your chest, feel free, Amy. She's like, Anybody out there who wants to share? Lee says, much love. Hi, honey. Thank you. Lee, you can always share. Angela, you can share. Anybody who comes on, that if you want to share your horrific dating stories, I might even share one of mine, and trust me, I got a few. I might share. We'll see. Start out. Let's see what Casey Kavanaugh has to say. She says, are your online dating experience worse than these? Read through to find out. Online dating has become one of the most popular ways to find love these days. Hiding behind your computer screen in the safety and the comfort of your own home is so much easier than dragging yourself out to a club or a bar trying to be a friendly, personable person. I don't know if I agree with that. I like going out and being a friendly, personable person. Yeah, you do? You do?
I think you do more than
I do. I can't help it. I really do. She says, what could possibly be better for looking for potential mate on your own terms while kicking back in your PJs? I mean, I can get the merits of that, but I don't know.
It's a lazy way of looking for a mate. It's easy though, and it's obviously there's something to that, right? Like I think certainly for older people, I mean, like once you're not a millennial, I think going to a bar is not always productive. Depends on the bar, right?
Like especially when you have like an expiration hour, like you're like 9 p.m. and you're ready to be in your PJs. Yeah. No, that's true. I can get the merits of that. I mean, and almost too, I feel like it's the digital age, so you can shop for whatever you want, right? Including your man or your woman or whatever, right? You can have Postmates. You can have food brought to your house. You might as well have dick brought to your house. Right? So Casey says, however, most people who have spent any amount of time playing the field can tell you that they have had their fair share of dating horror stories. Ooh, Halloween. Having to endure uncomfortable dates and awkward chit-chat is just a small part of the process of finding the one. She says, at least that's what we tell ourselves and our frustrated friends who are ready to throw in the towel and accept the fact that they will be forever alone. Unfortunately, online dating seems to bring out the worst in people. That I do believe can be true. I think it can bring out the best too, but I do think that there's something to be said for people, we want to present something online and then when we get in person sometimes.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
That is very true.
Right? Like sometimes it gets down to brass tacks and all of a sudden you find out that everything they told you is like
not true.
A stretch.
Anonymity is a problem. Right?
Yeah.
If you don't see somebody face to face, people are capable of saying. That's why cyberbullying is much worse than in-person bullying.
Totally. Yeah. It's so much easier to lie. It's so much easier to be non-empathetic. It's so much easier to be all kinds of negative things.
You got a phone that you can communicate with.
Totally.
It's also easy to consider it just some kind of game, and
and
that can be really harmful to people who have their heart invested in it.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point too, because it's really hard to decipher like who's just out there playing that game, or catfishing, or sitting at home. And who's out there who really has their heart in it, right? Because then you got that whole level. And like Courtney said, because you're not face to face, you don't get the normal biological cues that humans will give you if you're, using your intuition, you're sitting in front of them and you can feel whether somebody's, somewhat trustworthy or at least telling the truth, right?
I mean, I feel like you should be able to tell by the questions they ask you, by how much texting they want to do, but for sure, at the start, you can't.
Yeah.
But even then, right? Like, you can even long distance relationships, that alone, like over Skype or whatever. I mean, that could turn. I don't know which way it's going to turn.
Yeah. No, it's true.
And even their picture, sometimes they don't post the right picture.
What?
Yes. I have a story.
Tell it, honey.
Everyone knows I'm divorced, and I set up one of my best friends in the city. She's single as well, and there's this guy I was talking to on one of the many match sites or whatever, just testing him out, seeing what to do. Mm-hmm. And anyway, I thought he'd be great for a friend of mine. Again, because his picture looked cute, he had a great background, whatever. It seemed like a match made in heaven.
Yeah.
So they ended up connecting, and they went to a game. I think it was like one of the Brooklyn Nets game or something. It was during basketball season. And they got seats together, and she's like, "Where's the guy?" Turns out he doesn't look anything like his picture. And she was like, "Amy?" I was like, "Oh my gosh!" She's like, "Don't blame me. I thought he was like a really nice person. Clearly,
like unrecognizably not like his picture.
Yeah, he like really did not look like his picture.
Was it like an older person, or is it?
It was.
Just,
He
like,
looked older than his pictures.
Yeah,
definitely. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't there in person, but from what she told me, she's like, he definitely gained a lot more weight.
Yeah,
you know, this must have been the skinny him, and he was definitely a lot older. Not like 10 years, but definitely like
older than he
was.
Yeah.
So I was like, did you stick it out?
Did she?
She did.
See how some of us do. Like
she's like, I wanted to see the game or whatever it was, and so she ended up.
We always hold out hope when we're hopeful. We hold out hope. We'll like hold on to it, even when it's like
And then she was like, "See ya, okay, I'm done."
That's what a commitment, right? Going to like a game or dinner on the first date.
On the first date,
yeah.
She did want to go to the game. It just happened to work out, at all,
Yeah.
But I was like, I probably would have left.
Right? Found some way. And it's funny because when we go through, there are a couple where people like found ways to, what do they call it? The Irish exit? Where it's like, where people found ways to like escape.
Yeah.
So yeah. And I feel like the one where people put the misleading picture, because people always have those like pictures they think they look really good in, right? And sometimes time goes by really fast, and before you know it, your profile picture is 8 years old.
Yeah.
And I feel like that makes that a common occurrence when it comes to online, because I had a similar situation where someone, it was like 150 pounds ago, his picture, which here's the thing, I'm not fattest. Like, I don't mind if a guy is, somewhat overweight. I mean, I tend to like a more active guy because I have an active lifestyle. However, if I had just known that that's what he looked like, I had a similar thing where I didn't recognize him when I got there.
Yeah.
So he was kind of in a hell of his own making because he was nervous because he knew I didn't recognize him. So when he did walk up to me, he's like in a full flop sweat. Like nervous because he knew he hadn't been honest.
Terrible.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Like,
but
I get like if it's a picture and you're maybe a couple of years older, fine. But if you've gained weight, like if you are meaningfully like different, like your body's different, you have to fess up to that.
right, like just represent yourself properly. There's a cap for every bottle, people. Just represent yourself properly.
It's kind of a
find your
fact of
bottle.
life, right? At that point, you just sort of have to, or you can shape up. Like there's just a couple of options.
Right?
You can't just completely show up as a different person. Yes, very true.
Like with a waist trainer on, and you were like 100. No, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So, are you guys ready to like jump into some of these online stories? Because the picture deception is horrific, but some of these stories, they're pretty horrific.
Let's do it.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you ready?
I feel Halloween. Stop laughing. It's almost should this be like this?
Well, we'll see how we feel, like how they go along. I mean, there's none that are like heart wrenching, I don't think, but they're definitely like not a situation that you would want to be in. So the first one is a little serious. It's called a dodged bullet. A woman dodged one huge major bullet after breaking up with a guy she had been dating from Meet Me. Though he almost moved in with her family, she caught him looking down the shirt of her 12-year-old daughter. And then she later found out that the pervert was awaiting a court hearing for sexually assaulting a child. Yeah.
That's terrible.
That's horrific. That's horrible.
I have to say something now. I have to say
Yeah,
something.
please do.
It's not a dating story. This is not a dating
That, that is a relationship
story.
story.
That's a horrible
I'll give you that.
relationship story. That's not fair.
Yeah.
I think we should throw that one out.
We can widen it just for the sake of discussion, right?
Yeah.
We can,
But I
at
feel
least
like-
Casey did.
Yeah, but that's not good. That's horrible.
That's horrific, right?
Yeah.
It is Halloween. We're talking about horrific stuff, right? Yeah. So then the second one is it's like along the similar lines. The second one is called Dangerous Dad, Dangerous Date. After talking back and forth on a dating website with a guy, one woman decided to exchange Facebook information with him. After noticing and commenting on a picture of her daughter, the guy made a comment about how he recently taught his own all about masturbation. Ooh. After explaining how uncomfortable and unnecessary telling her that was, the man tried to justify himself by explaining that dads should be the ones to teach their daughters about sexual matters. Yeah, we're going down a slippery slope here.
Are all 15 stories
stories going to be
I
about?
hope not.
Okay.
Well, I picked the article. We'll see what happens.
Oh, okay.
We'll see. I like for it to be fresh for me too, Courtney. All right, we'll go to number 3. Number 3 is called Can I Cut In? After talking with a guy on OkCupid for some time, a woman decided to go to his place for a date. Upon arrival, she noticed that he had a wall full of knives and machetes. As if this wasn't scary enough, he decided it would be a good tactic to hold one against her throat just to show her how strong they were. That's horrible! Wait, Brandon just joined. Lee says, what the hell? With this assignment. I mean,
Truly terrifying.
it's terrifying, right?
God.
But here's the thing about this too. Like, I feel like, there's always those sort of, warning stories that happen. It's almost like how with Craigslist. Craigslist was so popular for a while, and then, there was like a Craigslist killer or a Craigslist rapist. Like, I feel like with online dating, and, it is Halloween, so we're talking about the horror stories. I usually don't like, the warnings, like, don't do this, don't do that. However, with online dating, we do have to be vigilant, and we have to know that anything can happen, right?
Yeah.
Like meeting strangers.
This is frightening. I guess I was expecting funny.
Well, we'll see.
So
I mean,
this is not funny.
some of them might be. We'll see what happens. We go with the flow, Courtney. Courtney's like, that's it. I'm leaving this podcast.
No, I mean, this is serious. Like, the first 2 were legitimately upsetting.
Yeah.
It's like,
Oh,
I know,
no.
it's like a little.
Oh, honey. Yeah, no, they were pretty awful. Wait, what's Lee say? I've only had the fiance show up to the date. What, the fiance of the person? You're going to have to fill us in with more, Lee. Was that the fiance of the person you were dating? Because that is pretty horrific. We'll wait. What does he say? Her fiance. Oh, my gosh. That's terrible.
That's terrible.
Especially if you didn't know she had a fiance.
But that's a good one, right? Like, that's not about, like, pedophilia. I think that's, like, terrible,
true.
but, like, in a...
Yeah, like it's a terrible date thing to happen.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. All right, so let's go to 4. It's called Way Too Anal. So this one says, one girl thought someone she had been talking to online was pretty normal. He was nice, good looking, and he had a good job. But when they met in person, he immediately asked her if she would be up for having anal with him. Although the date should have ended there, the guy proceeded to drink heavily, only to wind up crying about his ex-girlfriend and throwing up on her. Oh.
I'm surprised she didn't leave.
Yeah.
I'm surprised she didn't leave.
I know, like from the very jump. Like, here's the thing, because I always talk about too. Sometimes I think for men, and I try to be a little bit empathetic about this, but sometimes I feel like with men, obviously we're not always on the same page as far as like what our motives are or what we're going for. And sometimes a man who wants to get sexual pretty quickly, it's like you still have to have some level of finesse. It's like the guy who immediately sends you a dick pic. You want to have anal with a woman, like at least give it a little time of getting to know her. Before you, at least a minute, right?
I have to imagine he knows what, like, that person knows what he's doing. Like, you have to be like a little crazy, right? To just think that it's a normal thing to ask someone on a first date, like early on.
Like maybe he had some other sort of like, that's the thing too. I feel like with guys, you never know, like, if they're, just playing with you, or if they're, you know what I mean? Like,
Might be going for
I don't
shock
know.
value. I just
Yeah.
can't imagine it's like innocent. Like, I really want to know if she's going to have anal. I'm just going to ask her that. I literally can't imagine that.
maybe he wanted to see how fun she might be.
icebreaker.
Right? Yeah. Do you like anal? Okay, let's and then have the hostess seat you. Like who? Oh, Jeff George. Hi, Jeff George just joined. Lee says he did not know. He did not know that she had a fiance, and the fiance showed up.
This is
honey.
now it's going to be the icebreaker that the V Club recommends.
Huh, what's that? Do you do anal?
Start every happy hour. Say if you like anal or not.
I feel like too, if that's like your main focus, your main goal, if you meet somebody on a dating app, just go ahead and write that in your first message. And the reason I say that is because if somebody doesn't want to be bothered with it, at least you don't have them, they haven't gone through the trouble of gotten dressed up and gone out to meet you. You at least like put it right there on the table, who you are, and let them know what's up. Maybe you'll, it's all a numbers game. Maybe you'll ask enough women and somebody will be like, all right.
And
And by the way, we're not trying to say anything negative about anal sex. It's a real type of sex.
Yes.
And, it could be very fun and very safe to enjoy. But probably don't lead with that question as your
Exactly.
question.
A little finesse.
Gotta ease in. I mean, you gotta go slow and gentle.
Right? In all ways.
Warm it up.
Right? Warm it up. It's true. It's very true. Okay, the next one is called The Beautiful Beggar. So when one guy met a 9.5, I guess a 9.5 as in he rated her at 9.5 on Plenty of Fish, he was pretty excited. On their date, she said that she was a model, which all seemed fine and well until she mentioned that she needed money for rent. After only 2 drinks, she offered to trade sex for money, and she continued to bother him for days later, texting him and begging for money, even offering to let him video the act if he was willing. Apparently, looks can only take you so far, and like, wow.
I actually bet you it's not that uncommon.
That people
that
do
kind
that?
of thing.
Yeah.
That happens.
That makes sense, because I also think too, like, when it comes to prostitution as a thing, like, I don't feel like it's like we see in television. Like we in television they present it like it's, people walking the street or high-priced call girls. I think that it's a very subtle, subversive kind of thing. Like, you go out on a couple of dates, you ask for money and I'm not saying this out of experience. I'm just saying, I think a lot of times what women do, they'll ask for money to pay a couple bills, money to pay the rent, keep sleeping, but don't have any sort of intimate or emotional connection. And I think there are women who have like a number of guys that they do that with.
Absolutely. There are websites dedicated to that, right?
Yeah. So that's another thing, I guess, to just be careful of with dating sites. Like, and I would imagine that men do it too. I was at a party the other night, a Halloween party, and I was sitting there with my friend, and this young guy came up to us, and you could totally tell, just clearly a hustler, you know what I mean? Like very young, and probably thinking, oh, they're older than I am, maybe, and he got very I don't know how to explain it. Not necessarily sexual right away, but, you can tell when someone's trying to sort of hustle something out of you rather than they genuinely want to come up and get to know you. He couldn't have been older than 22, maybe. Yeah. But I feel like that's subtly how people do it. Joe Savino is here. Joe Savino, Courtney has said that you are allowed to join the V Club. So just so you know, you're welcome. I don't know. You got to meet Joe. You'll love Joe. He's a sweetheart.
but you know what? I was going to say that usually with that kind of an arrangement, there's usually a large age gap.
Yeah.
It's rare that there is not, unless it's some sort of like a dom-sub relationship, right? Where you have that power play.
Yeah. No, that totally makes sense.
Good point.
And then too, I feel like, people prey on people who they think are older, lonelier, and then have the money. So,
And some of those men or women want to actually have a young person to take care of, and they obviously get something in return. So, I feel like it's not, we can say negative things about it, but at the same time, for the people in it, sometimes it works for everyone. So let's...
Yeah. I think what it all comes down to is two consenting people who know what's going on. It's only a horror story if you were in there for real dating or in there with your heart, and that person was then, pay my rent and I'll give you some.
Yeah, exactly.
Did she want to give him anal?
Right? But he probably also, let's be real. He was on Plenty of Fish for one thing, which is I believe a free site. And he probably thought he hit the jackpot and was he's calling her a 9.5, which I hate it when people rate women. But he's calling her a 9.5 and he's probably I hit the jackpot. Meanwhile, she's like, yeah, you did. Can you pay my rent? You know what I mean? So that, I don't know. It's a thing.
You pay what you get.
Right?
You get what you pay for.
I know. What do you guys think about that with the, they say she's a 10 or she's a 5, the whole rating thing when it comes to...
only say it out loud if you can say 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
You don't say 9.5.
And why the 0.5?
9.75.
Weird review.
Yeah.
She had a corner on her toe, so she was a 0.5. She lost a 0.5. What the hell? All right. So here's another one. We ready for the next one?
Yeah.
It's called the Hipster Hitler Photo. Dressing as Hitler is never a good idea, not even when you make it a hipster Hitler for Halloween. However, if you do feel the need to do this, you probably shouldn't make the mistake one guy did when he set up a date with a girl he met online to meet at a Halloween bar hop. Dressing like this would probably be a turnoff for most girls, but it didn't help that his date turned out to be Jewish. Yeah, like a racist costume. That's for a first date.
Well, Prince Harry did that, right? He
Yes.
got in trouble for that. Yeah.
He did. And he was like in college or something, right? And
was young,
yeah.
It's too soon. It's not an ideal costume to have.
Right? At any point. Like Hitler, blackface, any of the things that are controversial. Stay away from them. I mean, if you're having your little private party and that's what you and your friends do, but for a first date, probably not a good idea.
Yeah, or just really in public. Like, it's just not, it just doesn't fly well with people for very obvious reasons. It's offensive.
Right? Yeah. Exactly. Which is, it's a perfect story for us since it's Halloween. Joe says, happy Halloween. I want candy. We got candy for you, Joe. Look, honey, I got a trick-or-treat bag. I got lollipops. I got a ring pop. I know that's what you meant, right, Joe? I love you too, honey. What were you going to say, Jamie?
This is going to be so crazy, but it just occurred to me. I had a dream last night where my brother said that somebody he knew was going to dress up like a Nazi for Halloween. This is a dream. And I said, that is never a good idea. Yeah. And I think that's what you just said. Which is so wild because I just had this the other night and I woke up feeling so gross and I told my partner that was my dream and it's been sticking with me all day. Isn't that crazy?
Are you gonna look it up in a dream dictionary? Like it's a thing. My mom does that.
Does she?
Yeah, my mom
do. Yeah.
Well, my mom believes in all kinds of things.
That's like parallel thinking, though. That like you dreamed it, and then was it like a deja vu moment when we were just talking about it? That's weird. Well, that just goes to show you really should not be dressing up as Hitler. We're dreaming about it. We're talking about it. It's like, it's not a good idea. What do we think, girls? What are you ready to go on to the next one? Oh, Lee Schultz says we're all a 10 out of 10. Oh, Lee. Lee says this is why we love you, Lee. So number 7 is the AA meet and greet. So after going through a divorce,
that already sounds funny.
I know, right? After going through a divorce, one woman decided to try online dating. When she planned a second date with a guy, he asked her to meet in the parking lot of a church, which was a part of a popular strip. When she did, he invited her into the church where his AA meeting was being held. She tried to be empathetic and supportive, but when he had her serving the coffee for the first half hour of being there, she knew it wasn't going to work out. I mean, here's the thing about those sorts of things, especially being someone who's so much in the personal growth world. And I actually dated someone who was in AA and would sometimes go to meetings with them. And so there is a certain level of like intimacy in joining someone in their self-improvement. But for a first date, it's like, it's too heavy.
And not even telling the person, right?
Yeah.
It honestly sounds like he needed someone to assist at the meeting.
Right?
Really, that's what it is.
They were like, right?
And she should have, and honestly, it's like, as a woman, I think, you just walk out. Like, if there's complete BS behavior goes on, just walk out.
Yeah, I agree with that. But, it's like what we were talking about with the baseball thing, too, because I was thinking about it, what Amy was saying with her friend at the baseball game, like the walking out, the Irish leave. Like, I think about situations where I was, like, really uncomfortable. And I feel like a lot of times we feel so much pressure to be nice. I definitely have been in that situation where it's like, you know that what that person is doing is totally like negatively motivated, or you're just not on board with it. I mean, obviously we have our threshold, obviously if they're doing something really sick and horrible. But like, I think about times where I, met somebody for a date and I just was like, I know this is not going to work out. But I stayed, right?
We talk about it so much here at the V Club because we have so many women come in and we talk about dating. Literally this specific topic, that as a woman, like, we are too nice.
Yeah.
A lot of time, we have a hard time saying no. Right? And generally saying no is a difficult thing, but for women it's extra difficult.
Yeah.
And so we overstay the welcome we overstay how much time we want to be there on dates. We agree to all kinds of things, sex, etc.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Like trying to be nice, trying to not make waves. Also, too, I think sometimes feeling like, we don't want to be in danger. We don't want to, piss somebody off. We don't want to have confrontation. There's a lot of reasons, I think, but if anything, I think we could definitely encourage women out there and men too. Like if you're in a situation and you just know it's like, it's okay to be a strong no and to do what you need to do safely. Even if you don't feel like it's necessarily a dangerous situation, it's just a situation you don't want to be in. Like there's nothing wrong with being a strong no. And I believe every rejection is a favor. So in as much as we don't want to hurt other people's feelings, when we know we don't want them, the best thing we can do for them is to just go, just to,
And you can be nice about it, right? You can say, hey, it was great meeting you. I'm just not feeling it. I'm just going to leave.
Yeah.
It was great meeting you. And I actually think once you do it once or twice, you're going to feel this incredible sense of self-empowerment.
Yeah.
Because being able to say no to people, not just on dates, but just generally to people, or your boss, to you, whoever, is so empowering. And it's a necessary skill.
Yeah.
Rejection is protection.
Yeah.
I love that.
No, totally.
That's a good pep talk. I think people, maybe I'll speak for myself, but I have a hard time saying no, and I've gotten better at it as I've grown. But I think those of you out there who have a hard time saying no, maybe do that pep talk before the date and really give yourself permission for, first of all, to walk away if you need to. And second of all, have a plan, maybe. Have a plan that you actually rehearse. Just say a few things, like an excuse, like, I gotta go meet my sister.
My mom's calling.
Yeah, something like that.
Wash the dishes.
Right, the dishes, they're growing something, so I gotta go. But yeah, just
I think that's the parachute plan though, because I'm a big believer in as authentic as you can be about your no, the bigger the gift. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I don't think that you're wrong about that. I think sometimes with some people you do kind of have to parachute it and come up with a plan.
I'm thinking about the danger.
Yeah.
I was thinking about a personal experience where I was feeling like, okay, this is a dangerous situation.
Yeah, do what you gotta do to get out.
I don't know what I said, but I immediately left and hailed a cab right away and I got out of there as fast as I could.
Left burn marks. Yeah. I hear that. So but I mean, the moral here is you don't take a first date to your AA meeting. I mean, unless that's how you met in the first place.
Well, usually 80 clubs or meetings, right? Unless you run it by the person, because you don't know if they're into it.
Totally. Anything that has structure, dogma, it's going to teach you something. It's moral stuff, church, whatever. At least ask them if they like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
That's true. All right, number 8 is called a crappy first date. So it's going to be all about shitting. Because, shitting makes any romantic situation horrific. There's no doubt about that. In September 2017, Bristol resident Liam Smythe met up with a woman he matched with on Tinder. The two went to have dinner at a Portuguese restaurant and then went back to his apartment. Everything was going great until the woman went to the bathroom. The date came back and sheepishly admitted that she had pooped, but that the toilet hadn't flushed. She had wrapped the turd in toilet paper and tried to throw it out the window. But it had gotten lodged between the two panes of glass. The enterprising Smythe decided to hoist his date upside down so she could reach the poop, I guess to retrieve it. She did, but then Smythe couldn't get her back down again. So the poor woman ended up lodged in the window trying to reach for the poop. Real? I don't know. Smythe ended up calling the fire department, and though they did rescue the woman, his window ended up getting destroyed in the process. But it's not all bad, Smythe says. He'd be open to seeing her again.
Oh my God.
That's hilarious. Hi, Michael. Hi, Donna. You know what's funny about this to me is I feel like, and I always say this, I feel like as women, sometimes we're so embarrassed about the bathroom thing and our bathroom habits. And I think men oftentimes are somewhat enamored by, a good friend of mine talks about he married his wife because it was their third date they'd slept together and she was farting in the bed like the next morning or something while she was sleeping. And he's like, I had to marry her. Like, I think that guys are so different about the bathroom thing than women are. Like, we get so embarrassed and we're so like shy about it.
That's because girls don't go to the bathroom.
Right? We don't do such things.
That is something else. Bristol, that's in England, right?
I feel like, what would you ladies do if you were in that situation? Would you go back and tell your date? Or, I mean, obviously, you'd have to say something if you really liked it.
Plunger. First of all, I would not have tried to throw it out the window.
No, what would you do though? Like, it wouldn't flush.
You close the lid, you like make a sign,
But wait, wasn't she was back in his apartment. I think she was back down in the room. I think she went, until she went, the two went to have dinner at a Portuguese restaurant and then went back to his apartment. Everything was going great until the woman went to the bathroom. So they got back to his apartment. Like, what do you do?
So yeah, you close the lid, and then, so we make a lot of signs in the V Club because when people see you, so that's why I do this. We make a lot of signs. No, really, yeah. But you close the lid, and you might, you walk out and you say, this bathroom is not working.
and you might not want to go in there for a minute.
Do not go in there.
Well, he's going to have to go there at some point, unless the woman resolves the situation.
Right.
Exactly. And that was her resolution, was to throw it out the window.
I don't understand what those windows are like, but like, why is it getting stuck?
Right.
I don't want to get too technical, but I just don't see why, can't you...
See, what I'm imagining is like it's some sort of double painting where there's just enough space. Like, we have double pane windows, but they're smashed up against each other. I'm feeling like there's enough double painting, obviously enough that she would be able to get lodged in there trying to reach in. So she might have thrown it and it fell into the double painting.
And then stick your hand through under both of them.
Yeah.
Just don't pick it up.
Just don't pick up your own poop.
Leave
just
it.
leave it where it belongs.
How is she? Did she just poop in her hands?
Yeah, I would have. Well, she did. She did wrap it in toilet paper, but I'm guessing she somehow
gotta get it out.
fished it out.
Yeah.
It's like you're sticking your hand in toilet.
You know what I would do? I would ask him for a plastic bag. Lee says it makes sense. It makes no sense to wrap the poo. Flush that shit and light a match. But the problem is it wouldn't flush. And Lee says that poo could have hit an innocent person walking around. That's true.
Lee is obviously a beautiful soul. Not that we're just
right?
Yeah.
I think I would ask for a plastic bag and then just wrap the hell out of that poo. I would use the plastic bag, like a doggy bag, and a doggy poop bag, and I would put toilet paper and I would wrap it and tie it and tie it and tie it and tie it, and then bury it in his bathroom trash. So then when he dumps his trash,
But you have to ask him for the plastic bag.
That's true. I could just say, I need it for something. I don't know. I'd be like, do you have a plastic bag? I want to, throw away my eyelashes. I don't know. I would make up something.
Yeah, but but you gotta, you can't make it look weird, right?
Yeah. That's true.
What are you going to do with poop when you have it in a plastic bag?
I'm going to take the plastic. This is what I would do. First of all, I've never been in this situation. So I'm totally speculating. But what I think
the podcast is going to be about
what I would do, I would find some excuse for why I need a plastic bag. I don't know. I would find some excuse. Maybe I want to throw something away, or I'd be it's my time of the month, whatever, something like that. Because even that's a hell of a lot less embarrassing. Yeah. And I'd take the plastic bag, and then I would do what she did. I would go ahead and retrieve it. I know that's so disgusting, Jamie, but I would retrieve it. And I would put it in the bag and just tie the hell out of it. Tie it up really, really good. This is what you can do, ladies, if you're ever in this situation. And men, too, although it's disgusting.
Yeah, you don't want it to spill.
Right? And hopefully he has enough. First of all, has a bathroom trash can and has enough trash in that trash can that you can kind of blend it with the trash. And then just wash your hands really good.
Okay, that's a big assumption, right?
But if he doesn't have a bathroom trash,
or he has nothing in there,
then that poo is flying out the window. Because I tell you what,
that's what the woman.
I'll wrap it and then I know.
But you would throw better.
I would throw better. I would throw harder.
Yeah.
And if it's wrapped in the plastic too, I feel like if it ended up in the double pane, like he wouldn't necessarily, like, how does he not know that it didn't come in from outside? What if somebody was a dick? And like, you know, he thinks that they threw trash in his house. You know, like you don't even like pretend like it never happened.
But then you got to make sure. I mean, we're just going to talk about this for the rest of the podcast. You have to make sure this can't be like a grocery store plastic bag. It has to be like, because those are very permeable.
Are they?
Yeah.
What, like your average?
Holes. No. You need
Your
like
average Food Town bag?
no. I think you need like more like a Ziploc bag, or like a more serious plastic. It can't be like a store bag.
Elise says people need to stop retrieving poo.
Okay.
Just flush and spray. But here's the thing, though. What do you do if you can't flush? You keep saying flush. Experience has taught me to keep poopery in my bathroom. Yes, all that's good, Lee. But the problem was that she couldn't flush it.
I have an idea.
Tell us, Jamie.
Move on from this topic.
Yeah, just I'll say that I have someone from my past who had this issue. He had really healthy BMs. Sometimes they wouldn't go down.
What is BMs?
He's like, I don't have those. I don't know what that is.
Yeah. So he used to take the plunger and just like break it up into smaller pieces. Like
Okay.
a plunger, and then it would flush.
Okay.
Or you might have to leave it in there for a while, and it'll soften up and be able to like.
I'm guessing the guy's toilet that was stuffed up, because if there was a plunger there, she should have just used the plunger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
the plunger
or
was
ask for a plunger.
But here's the thing: any of the things that involve the person knowing what you did. Like, that's the thing. Like, anything that involves, it's a first date. You're involving them in knowing what you did. Like, they're either going to see
Rather, I'm sorry, I would rather
Retrieve
mess
it?
up than touch my.
I hear that. I hear it. When you put it like that.
How do you get it off yourself? Like, you're gonna have to wash your hands like very seriously.
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding. But
Well,
like,
hopefully she didn't reach in and like grab it with her
What do
hand.
you- well, okay,
like
but-
if you use some toilet
it's
paper,
gonna-
I can't believe we're like.
then it's wet. But
That's
like,
true.
it's gonna
It's
disintegrate immediately, right?
Yeah.
The toilet paper. It's not.
Girls, try not to poo at someone's house on the first date. It's just not a good idea to
That's
poo.
really the conclusion,
Right?
That's the best
Yeah.
advice.
Right. I know a lot of people, and even my good friends, like won't poop at work even because they don't. I mean, you know, women are. We're taught to be very like, you know,
Yeah.
like Courtney said, like we don't poop. We're supposed to act like we do not poop.
And guys,
So-
it's just the opposite, right? Because they will leave I mean, I've worked in the corporate world my whole life. They will literally walk away from their desk and like everybody can see you stand up with a newspaper.
Like I'm going to poop.
Yeah, and then they walk through the entire office, like everybody sees them with a newspaper, and then they like go to the toilet, and then, you know, they do this whole thing, like they know exactly what's going on. I even had, I've seen men walk out of the corporate bathrooms and zip up their, you know, their pants as they're walking out. And these are like high-powered.
Yeah, men don't
people.
care.
No.
You guys have it easy in that way. You don't have to care. Lee says Courtney flushes along the way. Flush as you go. He feels like you're a flusher as you go.
I mean, that's that's my strategy too.
Right?
But we're working on the assumption that the toilet does not flush.
Yeah, that's the thing, Lee. He's insisting that this toilet's got to flush. All right, we're moving on.
Moving
He
on.
can fix it. He's a guy.
Right? He's like, I know
No,
what to
just-
do.
I just
Hi,
said really-
Rory. Rory just joined us.
Just said a sexist thing.
Did you? Oh, because he's a guy. You can fix
he
it. That's all right.
Sorry.
It happens.
Yeah.
So number 9 is called Kiss My Tears. Men typically have a hard time knowing how to act around a woman when she's crying, but this challenge becomes all the more difficult when the woman you're on a date with is crying because she broke up with her agoraphobic ex. Why is it gotta be agoraphobic? While this lady probably wouldn't have gotten a second date because of this emotional outburst alone, she decided to seal the deal on this fact by trying to kiss the guy while crying. Like,
When Harry met Sally, right? She kisses him when she cries. I think isn't that the first kiss when she starts? It's one of my favorite movies.
you mean at the end when they're in the New Year's scene?
No. The first time they kiss, right? She breaks up.
Oh,
with someone,
yeah.
And
The guy
he
who gets
comes over.
married.
Right.
Her ex-boyfriend gets married and he comes over, but they've been friends for a long time. I feel like, you
but
know.
point is, she's hysterical, and then they start kissing.
Yeah. I feel like they already had. The thing about that is if you have an established friendship or relationship with someone and it's going to go there, I think you can get away with the kiss while crying.
For sure.
But if you're on the first date,
Well, I guess
it doesn't
ideally,
bode well.
yeah, and ideally, crying on the first date is
right?
I mean,
Over your ex. Your agoraphobic ex, which I don't know why that was even a detail that was added in there. But it is Halloween. Lee says that should say courtesy. Oh, we're talking about the flush. A courtesy flush. Lee's still on the flushing in the pool. Right?
it is a courtesy. That's from David Chappelle.
What, the courtesy flush?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was from one of his episodes.
Oh, yeah? I love that Courtney knows David Chappelle. So, yeah, like, I think this also just speaks to, like, if you've got a lot of emotional stuff going on, maybe a first date is not necessarily what you should be doing. Maybe just give yourself some time to heal.
Please.
Right? Take care of yourself a little bit. You don't have to push yourself out there.
Right.
So number 10 is called weighing your options. It says first dates can be awkward, but for one particular guy, it got weird when a woman he met for dinner took an electronic scale out of her purse to weigh her food before eating it. They were sharing food, so it took quite some time for her to divide up her portions. As you can probably imagine. Check anyone. It says, yeah.
Is she doing it? I'm sorry, I'm slow right now.
That's okay.
Is she doing it for dietary reasons, or she wants to like split halvesies?
I think it's probably that it's dietary, because usually weighing is about the calories, right?
Yeah.
She took an electronic scale out of her purse to weigh her food before eating it. So probably like she was on some sort of diet or something. Which brings up a really good point, because I do think a lot of times, like, you know, if you're eating a certain way, a lot of people are gluten-free, some people are vegan, vegetarian, whatever. I think that can be a very hard thing to navigate when you're dating someone, because you want to be down for whatever they want to do and you want to have fun and things like that. But if you have food restrictions, like, how do you think you have to like get to handle the food restrictions? Like, you got a guy who's like, you know, I eat steak and you're vegan.
I mean, it's tough, right? I think it's a deal breaker for some people.
Yeah.
But
what if you do like the person? Like, what if there's an attraction there and you're like, you know, we eat so differently. I will say though, like, when you do eat very differently from someone, like I was in a relationship, my last relationship, where we ate very differently. And what I found myself doing, and the times that I would eat like he ate, I didn't feel good. Like, it just didn't feel good for me. And there was no way I was going to convince him to eat the way that I ate, because when I would make it, he had no interest in it. Like, he wanted to eat his, like, you know, I always call it man food, which this is also very sexist, but food that like has no health value whatsoever. Like, guys who aren't that healthy or don't think about that, aren't very conscious about that, there's a certain way that guys like that will eat, and it's usually fried. You know, it's usually like a lot of things that aren't necessarily good for you. And so that ended up being like a big point of contention in our relationship, because if you go on a first date with somebody and you eat very differently and you know that you're going to continue to eat that way, like, after a while, that's one of those things I feel like can snowball, even if that person is totally hot.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it totally speaks to your values, how you take care of your body, all of that stuff. Like, that can be kind of an indicator of whether you're...
it's difficult, but that goes back to in dating and relationships, you sort of you can't have everything, and you have to kind of say, you know, is this something I can live with or not?
Yeah.
Because realistically, if everything else is amazing and this is the only thing, you probably found
okay.
like you're the love of your life. You know,
Yeah.
it's like.
Well, I mean, also, too, if everything else is amazing, then they'd probably be more willing to compromise and, like, you know what I mean? And,
right.
like, share eat a little different sometimes share the eating plan or what, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's more of a problem when you eat at home. Like, in a restaurant, generally, there are options.
Yeah.
Right? Even, like, if you go to a steakhouse, you can probably do some vegetarian.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's... vegan is tough, though. I think vegan's, like, that's its own.
I know,
Like,
right?
you're basically eating salads.
The vegans I know are very staunch.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
very
was a
serious.
vegan for
Were you?
a good solid year.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it. I felt like I had more energy, but whoa, I was skinny. Like,
Yeah.
I was really skinny. Like, I lost my butt. No butt. And then it was like impossible to put weight back on after I was really sick for like a week. I had some kind of flu, and so I was like really needing some meat or, you know, something It would really help me put the weight back on. But I wanted to touch on eating differences because my fiance and I eat a little bit different, not too differently, but what we found is that we can share breakfast together, and then he's sort of on this other eating plan for lunch and dinner, and that's worked out really well. But at least we have our breakfast time together, which is important to us.
Yeah.
So maybe there's like one thing that you can find, like even if it's coffee or something, you know, that you can share with your partner.
That's a nice way to balance it. Like find that one meal that's like you're cool with sharing. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's hard because eating is most of our lives, right?
Yeah.
So
it's a big deal.
It's something that it's nice to share if you can.
Yeah. Especially like I feel like we should do a podcast about. I did one like a while back about food because I feel like food is so inherent to like our self-care and so many things. But especially I think eating is a big deal when we associate our like health problems and things. Like for a while I went gluten-free because I was having digestive problems that I was convinced that it was because of gluten. I mean, for me now I know better. For some people they you know still feel that way, and I get that. Now I know better. Like I know my digestive issues were, you know, caused by stress and a lot of other things, and you know, stuff that I needed to deal with physically, and it wasn't necessarily about the food. But when I was feeling like I needed to eat gluten-free, like I was serious about it and, you know, wanted support for it. And you know, anybody who was like, you can eat the bread, it really like, you know, cause a rift with people. I'd be like, fuck you, I can't eat it.
Well, it ends up being a little bit of a religious experience, right? Like when we're on some sort of a health thing and we believe something's good for us, like we're quite serious.
Like indoctrinated.
Yeah.
Right?
Very much,
That's true. All right, ladies, we're running out of time. I want us to get to the last few of them, and I want us to be able to, you know, do a proper sign off so we don't get cut off. So the number 11 is called Pill Please. After meeting Maggie on an online dating site, one guy was pleasantly surprised with how much he liked this woman, so much so that they were sleeping together semi-regularly. But getting tired of having to use condoms all the time, Maggie agreed to go on the pill. After saying she did so, the two had sex. It wasn't until after the fact did Maggie remember that she actually hadn't, in fact, started the pill yet. Ooh, how do you forget whether you started the pill or not?
Yeah, it's not really, that's a relationship story. That's not a dating story.
That's okay, Courtney. Are you a Virgo, Courtney? She's like, if it doesn't fit the theme, I will not.
We can do a show on this, right? It's like,
do a different one. You're right.
Deceit, right? It's like maybe she's trying to get pregnant. That's really messed up.
Yeah, no, I
We're
agree.
basically possibly tracking someone.
Right? We could do a whole show on
Yeah,
that.
that's not Halloween.
It's so cute. I love you. All right, let's go to the next one. The next one is called toe toppings. All right. Tinder user Courtney, I swear.
Oh my God, that wasn't me.
Was messaged by a guy who asked her if she would be interested in pizza and anal. She replied she replied that the pizza sounded appealing, but not the anal. The guy understood and was willing to compromise and congenially replied with, "As long as I can suck your toes, we're golden."
Kind of funny.
Yeah, right? All right. Yeah, I mean, this speaks back to like guys. Like when guys want to just have sex, sometimes you guys just got to learn how to finesse it. You could get the casual sex, but a little finesse, you know, needs to be in order sometimes.
I almost feel like someone does this just to test.
Yeah.
Like how many? What are the odds of a woman meeting if you text her that?
Right.
I mean, probably pretty low. So
Yeah.
I think you're just having fun, you know?
Right. And it also might be one of those people who we were talking about earlier who's like just hiding behind the computer anyway. So they, you know, they say like salacious things thinking they'll get some sort of reaction. And that might be part of the fun of it for them.
Right? This goes back to texting, of course. I mean, you're not going to, you know, walk across a bar, approach a woman, and then, you know, say that. Pizza and anal.
No, any man who has the guts to do that, I swear. I mean, first of all, if you come up to me and ask me if I want pizza and anal, I might be shocked enough to like laugh out loud. I might not hurt you or something like that. But, you know, I mean, if someone, you know, if they were that ballsy to come up to me and say that, I wouldn't take you seriously.
But you know what? It's almost attractive. Like if this person actually was put together, it's almost there's something almost attractive about it.
Yeah,
because it's insane. but ballsy, right?
It's shocking.
Like,
yeah,
you know, we love ballsy guys, right?
We do love ballsy guys. That's true. That's very true. And here's the thing too. I forget what comedian talks about how like women, like we have boundaries about things, and they do depend on whether we're attracted to a guy or not. Like a guy that we're actually attracted to can get away with so much, and one that we're not, it's like he could do the exact same thing, and all of a sudden it's like, you know, we're ready to call the cops.
So, but I think the same thing goes for men and women, right? Like when women is very attractive, but certainly for the first
Yeah. Oh
number of
yeah.
dates.
I feel like attractive women can get away with everything.
Yeah, for early on, right? Eventually, may not.
Yeah. No, it's true. All right, so an indecent proposal. While talking to a guy on Tinder, one female was asked if she would marry him for $10,000 because he desperately wanted to become an American citizen. Like any rational human being, she declined, but further revealing his insanity, the guy tried to reason with her, telling her that there were plenty of people who would do it for half the money. People are crazy. All right, that one's dumb. Okay, 14, feeling lovesick. One guy met a girl on OkCupid and took her out on a date to the movies. Everything was going fine until she got up to go to the bathroom and was gone for a while. She came back with a water, insisting that she was fine, but was feeling a little sick. Moments later, she puked everywhere, not just all over herself, but all over the floor and on the seats in front of her, and even into the aisle next to them.
Wow.
And this is so much for a good impression. Yeah, that's awful. Have you ever had like an awful thing happen where you like get sick or like while you're on a date?
Not from drinking, right?
Well, I mean, I guess drinking does kind of count. Like if you get drunk enough to throw up. But have you ever like gotten like sick or like, I don't know.
I got lice once on
Wow, I did not expect that one at all.
Lights on a date.
well, we've been dating for a couple months, but he was picking those nits out of my head.
Really?
How did you get lice?
This is my fiance now. I worked with kids, and I used to do a lot of play therapy, and so we would probably like be on the floor or something, and
Yeah, when you work with kids, it's very easy.
Yeah,
Right?
it was awful.
Did you have to like use special shampoo?
Well, my partner did the best he could, but then I have so much hair. He was like, "Let's look up a professional
Lice
weed
removal?
licer." Yeah. So I ended
Lice
up
exterminator?
going to a professional.
So wait, was it like how did you find out you have it? I've never had lice.
Oh,
Does it
God.
literally like jump?
We might have to take this offline after the show because it's okay because we ran out of time. I wish we had time because then we could go into we could talk about lice and poop all night long.